Hello everyone, and it's Lockhart QT here once again, and welcome to another exciting episode of my COD Zombies Retrospective series, a series where we will take a look back at the history, development, story and lore and more regarding every single COD Zombies map that has released to date. And today, welcome to another episode as we're diving into the mystical Shangri-La. Releasing as DLC free for Black Ops 1 on August 23rd, 2011, Shangri-La is described as follows in-game. A legendary shrine lost in an exotic jungle, where the undead lurk within a treacherous labyrinth of underground caverns, deadly traps, and dark secrets. In real life, Shangri-La is a fictional place in Tibet Kunlun's mountains, described in the 1933 novel Lost Horizon by English author James Hilton. Also known as Shambhala, Shangri-La is also described as an imaginary paradise on Earth, especially a remote or exotic utopia. Many people, when describing other locations, actually refer to maybe a hotel or a restaurant they've been to as Shangri-La, as they're basically calling it paradise. Before it was the map we all know and love, Shangri-La was actually codenamed internally at Treyarch as Temple, or the Temple map, and featured radically different concept art showing off completely different map layouts, enemies, map design, as well as it would have actually been the first zombies map in history to feature a wonder weapon quest with different elements and customizable wonder weapons. You all know the baby gun or the shrink ray, the wonder weapon on the map. Well, you would have actually been able to change the idol located in the statue in the middle of the gun, and you basically would have got different coloured idols. For example, we get the jade one in game, which is sort of like the jade serpent or dragon, but you could actually get different models which would then affect the gun differently. For example, one of them would have been a shrinkway, one of them would have been electrical, fire and so on, very similar to the bows in Drak or the staffs in Origins. However, due to time constraints and, the fact that it was on Xbox 360 and PS3, this was later scrapped in development, along with a load of other ideas they had for the map. Shangri-La was also designed as a direct response to high-round players suggesting that maps that came before it in Black Ops 1, like Kino der Toten or Ascension, were just too easy. Shangri-La is designed as a much harder map, similar to World at War's Verrucht, and is actually one of the most controversial zombie maps of all time. In my opinion, Shangri-La is very much like Marmite. You either love it or you hate it. You either love the fact that the map is brutally difficult and you have to essentially train around the entire map to get high rounds, or you hate it. You hate the fact that you can have boss zombies that trap you in a corner, or you just can't really train on the map, as well as there are no power traps on the map. So now we're talking story and lore. After some assistance from the celebrity casting Call of the Dead, which we've already covered in this series, the Ultimus crew gets into a time-travelling temple in the year 1956, where a mining operation of Element 115 took place. While facing zombies under the control of Samantha Maxis, they encounter and must help two explorers named Brock and Gary, who are trapped in a time loop in Shangri-La. Whereas the rest of the Ultimus characters don't realise it yet, but the main reason for the visit to the temple in Shangri-La is actually to help acquire the focusing stone for Richtofen's grand scheme. Not only do you have the present story of the Easter egg where you're gaining the focusing stone and helping Brock and Gary, but the map also features a different time loop in the past with the eclipse. In the past, we can also hear that Ultimus Richtofen has actually been to Shangri-La before, as he was teleported there after touching the MPD on Moon, hearing the voices of the Keepers and the Shadow Man turning him insane and into the, kleptomaniac and psychopath that we are, that we fall in love with in World at War and Black Ops 1. And it's also known that Sally, the assistant of George Romero, is also trapped with Brock and Gary in the same time loop as she's trying to find information on the Ultimus crew as well as George Romero and the celebrity cast. Okay, so gameplay features. Shangri-La is an incredibly hard map in terms of design, layout and features. It's tight, claustrophobic, and feels like the map is really fighting against you. It was one of the only maps at the time to actually feel like this, with things like the mud maze, the random bamboo doors that would shut and close at random points, trapping you with a horde of zombies, thick mud where you just can't move, similar to the map's Origins and Shinonuma, as well as bamboo spikes that can hurt you in spawn. There's also no traps on the map, there's no electrical traps or anything like that, and it's just a really hard map in terms of high rounds, as there's also just no training spots on the map whatsoever. It's not a very open map, and that's why most players dislike Shangri-La compared to maps like Kino and Ascension, for example. This map also features the Shrink Ray, also known as the Baby Gun, but more formally in-game known as 31-79 JGB215. I really struggled to say that, and I'm not going to call it that ever again, as let's be honest, we all just call it the Baby Gun, so I'm going to call it the Baby Gun for the remainder of this video. The Baby Gun is a fantastic wonder weapon. Not only does it look crazy in design, but it plays like it too. You shoot zombies, shrinking them down into miniature forms of themselves. You can then run into the zombies and send them flying, and the ragdoll physics on effect here just make this really funny. I remember seeing this in the initial trailer for Shangri-La. Not only that, but obviously playing the map myself back in the day, and I remember just laughing with me and my mates playing the game. It was just so funny. The Baby Gun is one of the best wonder weapons of all time, as it doesn't really have a damage drop off. It does things like explode the monkeys, and it also works on the boss zombies as well. The Baby Gun is really effective, and I'm really shocked that it's never come back in any maps going forward really from Shangri-La. And on this map you don't have the regular old boring claymores that you have in Black Ops 1, but instead with the addition of the spike mores. These functionally work pretty much the same. They have a bit of a sort of wider spread when it comes to the explosion, and it shoots bamboo sticks into the zombies when it kills them. The spike mores are also used for the Easter egg, and I think thematically they also fit the map a lot better. And as per tradition in Black Ops 1, sadly we don't get any new perks in Shangri-La, but what we do get are some brand new special type of zombies, being the napalm zombies and the shriekers. Shriekers are really interesting. They'll pop out of the ground, and you'll see this by a large audio blast that goes upward with sound waves. The shriekers will then turn into super sprinters, run after you, and they'll have a shrieking blast. If you're caught in this blast, it blinds you, deafens you, and it just makes it really hard to run away, cancelling your sprint. Shriekers can also be used tactically, however, because if they blast zombies around you, the zombies will become dazed and confused for a second, allowing you a few seconds to sort of collect yourself and get yourself out of a train. And next up are the harder type of special zombies, napalm zombies. Back in the day, this was such a big deal that it just hadn't been, done in zombies before, but nowadays we've had different variations of the napalm zombies on things like the Chaos maps, for example. But back in Shangri-La, this would be a big zombie with slightly more health that would very slowly and intimidatingly walk towards you and then explode on impact, leaving a fire trail on the floor similar to a ray fire or a napalm grenade. These things are really deadly and can, pretty much down you with jug if you've already taken a couple of hits. Say for example you take a couple of hits and this thing explodes, you're down instantly. And like I said, they're just really scary and intimidating as they don't sprint, they just walk really slowly towards you. Next up are monkeys. Monkeys return on Shangri-La. They were absent obviously in Call of the Dead, but they first made their appearance on Ascension, which we've covered on the channel. However, monkeys are no longer like a dog round on this map. When you spawn a power up on the map, monkeys will spawn from the main temple at spawn, run after you, and actually run for the drops. Say for example you drop a max ammo, the monkeys will try to steal the max ammo and take it back to the temple. If they are successful, you've lost your power up. But what you can do here is something very interesting. For the first and one of the only times in zombies, you can actually change the power up that is given on the map. Say for example you get something a bit useless at the time, like a carpenter, and you don't want a carpenter. Well, you can actually use the monkeys to get either a free perk, a max ammo, a double points, or an insta-kill, whatever you want really, and I think that really works into the map's favour, as it's just such a cool feature to be able to change the power up. Like Ascension and Call of the Dead, the map also features some really fun to use traversal options. You have the water slide that you can take just right of spawn. This thing is just so fun, and you get some really cool character quotes. You literally just, go down a water slide and go into the underground of the map. You've also got a minecart that you can buy for 250 points, and it's pretty much the same effect. This thing is so cool, it makes you feel like you're on a roller coaster. And more interestingly enough, with the minecart, when you're going past underground, if you've got players that are training near power, you can also help them out by throwing grenades and shooting zombies whilst on the minecart. And lastly, you've got the water geysers. Underground in the map are water geysers that can shoot you up to the top level near spawn and the two areas outside. However, for me, the water geysers are quite difficult to use, as not only can zombies jump from above, blocking your access to the water geyser, but you can also get hit whilst in mid-air, making this not really great for me. Also on the map, you've got the main waterfall with a very interesting feature. Not only are you slowed in the water where the mystery box can spawn, but you can also go to a button that says do not press. You can press the button and it will activate water, which will flush all the zombies off a cliff. And again, going into the map's difficulty, the map also features random perks. Jug, Speed Cola, Deadshot, etc. will all be in random areas on the map upon spawning in. However, they're usually paired with each other. For example, Jug will usually spawn where Speed Cola spawns, Speed Cola will usually spawn where Jug spawns, etc, etc. And although the map is quite difficult, it had a very interesting pack-a-punch method. On solo, it's incredibly easy. All you need to do is turn the two power switches on, and then find a random switch around the map, and then run to the middle of the map. However, on co-op, it then becomes a bit more difficult. I don't really do it anymore, but back in the day I used to play lots of Xbox Live public games, or on, online on Steam for example. But this pack-a-punch method becomes very difficult in co-op, because especially if you're not talking with other players, it's nearly impossible for you to access pack-a-punch, as it requires all four of you on different plates all at the same time. The same goes for activating the Eclipse mode in the Easter egg. But the pack-a-punch does work, especially if you're with people that you're either chatting to on Discord or in game chat, as you can just tell them, I want a pack-a-punch, please step on the plate. And I think for an incredibly difficult map, especially in co-op with randoms, this pack-a-punch method just doesn't work, and I feel like on solo it's just so much easier. Okay, so next up we're talking about the map's appearances, remasters and remakes. As well as appearing in Black Ops 1, Shangri-La also appears as a remastered version of the map in Black Ops 3's Zombie Chronicles. This version features different radios, the Samantha doll Easter egg, the trip mines replacing the spike moors, and just generally better graphics. For me, the Easter egg of Shangri-La, as well as the main map, its environments, the Eclipse mode, everything is just so much better in this version. This version looks spectacular, especially if you're playing in 4K on a PC with maximum graphics on, or ultra, whatever you want to call it. Shangri-La looks stunning, and I think that's probably the best aspect of the map, as back in the day zombies maps were very dark and dingy, whereas Shangri-La feels very mystical, temple-like. You've got the thick foliage of the jungle around, and it's just incredible to look at. It's one of the best looking zombie maps of all time in my opinion. And lastly, Shangri-La also appears as a remastered section in Revelations. This section of the map features the spawn area, which is most likely reused for Zombie Chronicles. However, in Revelations you get for the first time ever map theming music. So for example, if you enter the Shangri-La section, you'll actually get the Shangri-La music play. Shangri-La loops into Der Eisendrache as well as the main spawn area, and again looks fantastic in Revelations. Okay, so now we're talking Easter eggs. Shangri-La contains the main quest known as Time Travel Will Tell. This involves time travelling to help Brock and Gary stuck in the temple as well as in the time loop. You have to help them break out of Shangri-La as well as the time loop to escape. The time loop is basically started by all players hitting buttons in spawn, which will change the time of day as well as travel the crew in time to a dark eclipse setting in the past. Here you complete various Easter egg steps and guides in both the past as well as the present daytime setting of Shangri-La. Some of my favourite steps include helping Brock and Gary by blocking off gas valves using the spike moors. You can then shrink the little balls around the map. I don't actually know what they're called, but it's like little meteorites on sticks. You can shrink them down, you have to knife it down the waterfall. It's just a really great step. I think that's probably the most memorable step for me, as well as utilising things around the map, such as the gongs and the code wheels. Once you complete the main Easter eggs quest for Shangri-La, you are awarded with all the perks on the map as well as the focusing stone, which is an item carried over into the next map Moon as a part of the main Easter egg quest for that map. As well as the main quest Easter egg on the map, Shangri-La also contains many ciphers, radios, notes, out-of-map secrets, the Samantha doll Easter egg in Zombie Chronicles and Black Ops 3, as well as the musical Easter egg, which is activated by pressing on 3 red and black rocks around the map, which are Element 115 meteorites, and the song activates called Pareidolia by Kevin Sherwood and Elena Siegman, and yet again another banger from the audio crew at Treyarch as well as Kevin Sherwood. Pareidolia is one of my favourite songs. I think it really fits in with the map as it's very mystical, it's very different, and it's an Easter egg song that has been used again and again in Zombies as it's just an iconic classic. Okay, so now on to growing pains. Now usually in the series this is the section where I talk about my biggest dislikes for the map on how they can improve, and I've got to be honest, with Shangri-La the map does a lot right, its setting, its features, etc. However, the only thing for me that really stops this map from being a lot better is the tight corridors, the fact that it's got no training spots, and the overall layout of the map. Shangri-La for me is such a wasted potential of a map, as its setting, its Easter egg, its song, its everything are perfect, but for me the actual design of the map is where the map falters and stutters. For example, it's claustrophobic, it's tight, and I think for me on every Zombies map you need at least one training spot. High rounders can't really do well on this map. I mean, most of the time, I play the map on solo, I usually only get to the 30s and 40s just because Shangri-La is difficult. I usually don't play, I usually play without gobblegums and things like that in Black Ops 3, but it's still a very difficult map, especially in Black Ops 1 with the 2-hit down system. And again, fixing this issue would be very, very easy, just making the map more open generally, as well as maybe adding a bigger training spot. To my mind, the only 2 training spots that I can think of are down by the waterfall, on the bridge, and then maybe at power, but again, these are all so tight, and then you also add things like the napalm zombie and the shrieker into the mix as well as the monkeys, and it's just a very brutally difficult map, and it's one that I don't really enjoy playing because, it's just so tight and it's just so constraining. The map itself feels like it's fighting against you, especially with the random traps in the mud. Okay, welcome back to Trivia Time. This is the section in the series where I go through some cool facts in development or in the map itself that you may not have known before. So, did you know, the first map to feature female zombies was in fact Shangri-La. Beforehand, all of the models were seemingly men, however Shangri-La did add female zombie models into the map. Did you also know that if all players stand in a certain spot of the starting room and input up, up, down, A on Xbox and then X on PlayStation as the main jump button on your controllers, the monkeys in the starting room will all simultaneously explode at the same time? Sadly, this isn't the case in Black Ops 3, and this is a really cool Easter egg in Black Ops 1. Did you also know, in Shangri-La, once you have completed the main Easter egg on COD of the Dead, Richtofen will be holding the golden rod in his inventory, which is obviously obtained during the original characters when they're trapped in the closet in COD of the Dead, showing that Black Ops 1 did in fact have cross Easter egg progression, as well as the super Easter egg on Moon. And finally, did you know, Shangri-La actually takes place on Mars and not Earth? In Black Ops 4 Tag to Toten, there is a secret mini Easter egg that's actually quite difficult to get. If you input a certain code on one of the map's flingers, you'll be flung into a water tunnel. If you then swim through the tunnel, which is very difficult to do without gobblegums, you're then encountered with Mars in the background, with a lake of water, a boat, as well as the instrumental for the Easter egg song of Shangri-La, Paradolia, playing in the background. This is a reference to an old community theory that Shangri-La actually took place on Mars. There's many ciphers and radios also somewhat teasing this, but the main teasing was the fact that you could see the mountains of Mars as well as things like the Lake of Tranquility in the background, or at least that's what players in Black Ops 1 thought. And again, this is another example of Treyarch adding in an old fan theory and making it canon. Yes, it's very weird to me that Shangri-La takes place on Mars, but again, it's just such a cool thing. So in conclusion, Shangri-La is a really special map for me. It was actually the first ever Call of Duty Zombies map that I purchased on day one with my own money. I remember back in the day saving up enough pocket money to get some Microsoft points down at Asda, which is our local shop, and then going out to buy Shangri-La and playing it day one, as in my opinion Shangri-La has one of the best main story trailers of all time, with the music in the background. It was just very Black Ops 1. And since then I've played every map on day one since. Shangri-La is a exotically beautiful map boasting some of the best graphics, environments and textures inside of Black Ops 1. But sadly for me, Shangri-La is let down by its feeling of fighting against the player, with spike traps that can harm you, random mud mazes to slow you down and again get you killed, and boss zombies added in for good measure. I want to love Shangri-La. I really want to love Shangri-La as it has everything going for it. An incredibly fun and well designed wonder weapon, an easy to understand pack-a-punch guide when you've got people that can actually talk to you as well as in solo, a mystical location with temples, traps and intrigue, and an amazing Easter egg with a good world building as well as backstory. But Shangri-La sadly falters in the most important area, map flow and layout. In my opinion, Shangri-La has one of the most difficult map layouts and biggest difficulty curves in all of Zombies. For me, Shangri-La is up there with maps like Voyage of Despair and Verrückt. And like I said, Shangri-La is very much like Marmite. You either love it or you hate it. And for me, sadly, I just don't like Shangri-La. I mean, other than playing it on the occasional co-op game with my friends, I will never touch Shangri-La, and in fact, before recording this B-roll footage for this video, I haven't played it in years, and that's down to the fact that it's just, you can't really train on this map, it's just really difficult. So everyone, thank you so much for watching the video today, and tell me in the comments below, what do you think about Shangri-La, and what are your best memories of playing the map? Thank you so much for watching, and if you want more Zombies videos in the Retrospective series, I've covered maps like Ascension, Transit, COD of the Dead. A few of them will be on screen right now as well as the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching the video today. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for Black Ops 6 Zombies as well as classic COD Zombies, and I hope you all have a fantastic day today, and bye.